So new banner stuff means it's a video about whether it's worth pulling or not for a ship. Now, like every other banner, everyone should be pulling on them, but for the people that are hesitant, if you want to pull on this or not, I'm going to give you guys my little takes on whether or which ships are worth pulling for. So let's get right into it. Now, the ships as of right now, I'll be showing on the screen. And I'll be using the wiki as always because it has everything listed out, information on skills and stats and all that jazz. We'll be using this. Alright guys. So we'll be starting with Kronshtadt first. Kronshtadt, the large cruiser in the game, the third one as of right now. And the first ever gacha related large cruiser in the game to be released. At 125, or let's do 120 stats. 120, 7200 health. Pretty up there. Firepower 294, solid. Anti-air 226, as expected from large cruisers in general. Reload is 170, I think that's like average. Evasion is 38, just like every other large cruiser is pretty like low, but it's just like that. Speed is low. Hits is okay. Luck is okay, and then oil cost is whatever. As for gun efficiencies, 110%, not the highest, but large cruiser, what can you do about it? CL gun 55%. That's really low actually. I think that's like one of the lowest ones available. And then we have anti-air 100%. So as for efficiency, it's not the greatest, but there's more to it than that. So I'll talk more about the kit later. But as of right now, it is nothing like crazy for like a ship in general. But it is really tanky though. It is really tanky. Now, as for the skills right here, let's get right into it. So, the first skill increases this ship's firepower and evasion by 8%. Every 8 times this ship fires her main gun, fires a special barrage. Damage scales with skill level. If this ship is equipped with high caliber gun 280 or higher, fires this barrage. Every 4 times the ship fires its main gun instead of 8. Improves this special barrage as well. So, it's been 2 days now, and I've been using my Kronshtadt on leveling and whatnot. Nearly done with maxing her out. Probably finish tomorrow, whatnot. I'm gonna tell you guys right now with the barrage or whatever. The barrage is like, it's alright. It's alright. I don't think it's like super crazy because it has a slow ramp up and the firing range is kind of like whatever. But it's alright. It's alright. I'm not a big fan of the barrage in general, but it could be way better. Like compared to E-Girl's barrage, it's like really good. This one is like it's converging, but like there's a good chance it could miss as well too. So the barrage is like, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's alright. Second skill. Decrease the damage this ship takes from AP ammo by 8%. Every 4 times this ship fires her secondary gun, fires a special barrage that decreases the firepower of enemies. If hit by 5%, barrage damage scales with level. When this ship equips at least 1 Northern Parliament gear, increases this ship's secondary efficiency by 45% and decreases damage taken by 8% from all sources instead of only from AP ammo. So this skill right here, it's pretty damn good. It is pretty damn good. Notice how she's the first large cruiser in the game that can be accessed with light cruiser guns. So, because there's many choices for Northern Parliament gear that you can use, I personally use the Chappie gun right here. Then you can get 45% more efficiency on the secondary gun. So it's actually 100% if you equip properly. Now, 100% efficiency is pretty good for a secondary slot, but a secondary slot gun doesn't do nearly as much damage as the primary gun. So it's like a slight damage boost, but it's not like part of the important part of her kit, which is the first skill. But the second skill is pretty nice because it gives her more robust durability and just a slight damage increase overall. So that's really good. Once per battle, when this ship's health falls under 10%, decrease this ship's burn damage taken by 50% and heals 1% of her max health every 1 1 second up to 10 seconds. As long as this ship is afloat, if a fleet this ship is not engaged in, which is cross ship stuff, if that fleet's flagship is a battleship, decrease the main spread of all battleships in that fleet by 2. 20 seconds after the battle starts, fires a special ball that decreases the speed of enemies if hit by 40% for 5 seconds. So this cross barrage is pretty damn good. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this cross support whatnot, it is pretty good. It is pretty good. Now, all right, my bad. I had to adjust that so you guys can see it better. This is probably one of the better version of cross barrage that we got in the game. Both these two skills are really good. Now, the first part right here, if the fleet's flagship is a battleship, decrease the main gun spread of all battleships in that fleet by 2. Now, there are a lot of inaccurate battleship guns in this game. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. So having all ships get a decreased spread of 2 is pretty good. Assuming you guys can use this in a setup where you're burning all battleships, it's pretty much meant for Operation Sirens, because Operation Sirens is one of the few contents where you want to run full BBs for whatever reason, right? So it's really good there. Not to mention, after 20 seconds, fires a special barrage that decreases the speed of enemies if hit by it by 40% for 5 seconds. Now that's very, very good right here. You can work very well with this for airstrike timings, battleship volleys and whatnot. Works very, very well with airstrikes. So this second skill for the barrage probably is really damn good. It makes it so pretty much the first your first attack for like airstrikes or battleships is pretty much gonna hit. So that's very, very good. I like this a lot. So my take on this ship is that she's pretty much your go-to a large cruiser, like a regular tank. For people that do not have large cruisers, because Azuma and Egro takes a lot of funding to get working and whatnot, because you gotta max them out, she's pretty good to have. Now, would I say she's the best large cruiser in the game? I'll do that testing later on in the future, but as of right now, I think she's just a meat shield, just a regular old meat shield. Has some damage to her, but like nothing like super spectacular. The biggest part about her kit is that she does have probably one of the best cross barrages in the game, I'd say. Speed reduction, and makes it so grants battleships a lot more accuracy when they shoot their volleys and whatnot. I think she has probably one of the best ones in the game as of right now. So very, very good of a ship for that. Now the second ship we have is going to be Kiev. Now Kiev right here is, to me, just a regular destroyers. 2500 health, that's normal. Firepower 172, that's also normal. 272 on the torpedoes, pretty low for the torpedo DD, but I'm not going to compare with the other IJN faction because they have a lot. Anti-air is 189, reload is 207, evasion 224, and speed 50 on all that jazz. Pretty much average stats when it comes to destroyers. Now for efficiency, 165% efficiency. That is pretty high for a destroyer, I'd say. That is pretty damn high. Probably gonna be focused more on main guns, so we'll see the kit and whatnot later on. Low efficiency on the torpedoes, but I think the main part about her kit for this time is that she's gonna be a gunboat, so that's the trade-off there and whatnot. And the anti-air is 105%, so pretty low, or if not average there. So in terms of her skills, 5 seconds after battle starts, fire a level 10 barrage. Every 10 seconds after that, fires an upgrade version of this barrage and increases the ship's crit rate and crit damage by 10%. Everything's based on skill level, whatnot. So just a self buff. I don't think there's anything super crazy about this this skill. 10% crit rate is negligible, and 10% crit damage is also negligible. Until these values are actually significant, I don't think this is like super spectacular for a first skill. But that barrage though, this extra damage and whatnot, so there's that. Increases ship's accuracy by 10% when the battle starts. One, if there are 3 ships afloat in your vanguard, or there is one other Northern Parliament ship in your vanguard, increases this ship's firepower and torpedo by 15%. Not bad. If this ship is your sole vanguard, increases this ship's anti-air invasion by 15%. So this ship's second skill, you get a pretty good buff. If you're running other Russian ships or you have 3 vanguards, you get a pretty good buff. 15 firepower and 15 torpedo, solid buff right there. If you run her for for one setups or whatnot, you can get value out of the anti-air and invasion as well too. So this ship right here is another scenario where she can be pretty good when it comes to like just regular 1-1 setups, because I think that's what most DDs do nowadays, is like a full 1-1 setup. There aren't many occasions nowadays for doing 1-1 setups, because using oil cap full fleets like a 3-3 setup is much better. So just to me, just a regular destroyer. I don't see anything like super spectacular with her kit. More focused on main guns than torpedoes. The stat buffs are like negligible. So until she offers something pretty neat, I see her just another 1-1 ship. Like toss her in with Volga, which I'll talk about later, and Kiev, and there you go. You have a 1-1 set for farming and whatnot. So just a regular destroyer there. Now Volga here. Volga is the first aircraft carrier to be in a non-big faction. Well, at this point, I think HMS is the smaller faction compared to Northern Parliament, because Northern Parliament has 3 events and HMS only has 2 events. So, but jokes aside though, in terms of like Axis or allies ships, she's the first ever aircraft for another faction. Health wise and whatnot, talk about stats: 6,800 for health, 396 for aviation, 363 for anti-air, reload is 123, 45 evasion, 30 speed, hit is 101, luck is 50, whatnot. Across the board, pretty average stats. Now let's talk about the efficiency. 140% on the fighters and 3 fighter planes, really good, especially with AP rockets, very good. Dive bombers 120% with 2 there, and torpedo bombers 3 at 130%. So pretty average loadout across the board. Very solid on the efficiency. Not a bad ship. Not a bad ship so far. Now let's talk about her kit. Her kit. When this ship launches an airstrike, 75% chance to launch an additional special airstrike or whatnot. Inflicts flooding status for enemies hit by the special airstrike torpedoes. If this effect fails to activate, instead fires a level 10 special barrage. Damage is based on skill levels and this ship's aviation stat. So I believe she may also be the first carrier in the game where if they fail not a barrage but like a special airstrike, you get something else coming out of it. So I think she's the first one in the game to do that, which is very interesting. This kit though, not bad, just extra damage, solid across the board. And the second skill, every 20 seconds selects the lowest HP percentage ship in the fleet, and afterwards 2 randomly chosen ships in your fleet, and recovers HP for the ships equal to 5% of this ship's max HP. Now this can be activated multiple times on a single ship. That's pretty good, very good for 1-1 setups. After this effect activates, spawns a level 10 summon that explodes, dealing damage to enemies. Damage is based on skill levels and the ship's aviation. So, again, she has many procs. Even if it fails or like something else happens, there's so many things going on with her kit. It's actually insane. This ship has a really, really loaded kit. And then she has the heal, the recovery. Not to mention, if you guys don't know already, a lot of the carriers, like Aquila, or I think Aquila and like Chise from the previous event, most of them don't have like superior loadout when it comes to like these things, right? Now obviously they have preload and whatnot. So Volga is like a regular healer that's not preload, but she has pretty good loadouts right here. and her damage is pretty good too, like multiple barrages, multiple procs. And then third skill, she gets 15% aviation, which I'll talk about. It's pretty good. When the battle starts, increase the ship's aviation by 5% per each ship in your vanguard, can be stacked up to 3 times. If the flagship or vanguard lead ship is Northern Parliament, grants this ship the full stack of 3 regardless of numbers ships in the vanguard. So if you guys do 1-1 setup, Volga's a Northern Parliament ship, and if it's the requirement, if your flagship is a Northern Parliament ship, she gets 15 aviation. So she's pretty much meant for either a full fleet setup or a 1-1 setup. Guess what, guys? Nowadays, when it comes to farming, a 1-1 setup works or a full fleet works. So she pretty much fits in every scenario if possible. Amazing kit, heals, has pretty good damage as well too, a solid buff to herself, really good efficiency. I think this ship is really damn good. Very, very damn good. I like the ship a lot. Now, as for the other elites, I'm not going to talk too much about them, guys, as usual. We have Ark here. Again, just a regular battleship when it comes to elites. Now, she isn't like Gangut, where if she has a special gun, she does like pretty significant damage. She's just a regular battleship. But she gets 1 permanent firepower at level 120, so definitely not a ship you should forget about. And then we have Soobraz, the destroyer when it came to the preview whatnot. As for her kit, pretty much a 1-1 setup ship. She has a self-heal right now. So if you guys want to like have a cheap ship to just cheap farm for whatever reason, definitely can use her. Pretty good survivability, whatnot, a lot of evasion, can heal herself. Pretty much a solid ship for just cheap farming if you guys want to do that. So again, let me do the ratings of all the ships as usual and how I would rank these ships in particular. So we'll start with Kronshtadt. So Kronshtadt, to me, I'm gonna say that. My bad. I'm gonna say she's like a pretty solid ship. I think a lot of people in the game to this very day don't have like a fully maxed out Azuma or a maxed out E-Girl. So having a large cruiser that only requires like 4 UR Bullens and some limit breaking cog chips and whatnot, she's pretty much everyone's go-to tank from now on, because unless you're one of those players that have maxed out PR ships, especially the large cruisers, a lot of people don't have a really solid like beefy tank. Now there's Anchorage and whatnot, right? But again, PR ship. If you're a new player, all you gotta do is like get 30,000 points in the milestone rewards, and then maybe like 2 or 3 months of saving up for UR Bullens, and you pretty much got a free maxed out large cruiser tank that you need. Solid damage, great utility, amazing in other fleets. It's a solid choice across the board. Very, very good. I can see her being very good in just like pretty much every content you can think of, like just Boston could be working there, Operation Simon could be pretty good there, campaign as well too. Just anywhere where you would want to use a tank and you need some kind of utility in another fleet. Very good choice there. Now as for Kiev to me, her kit doesn't really stand out to me. Just a regular destroyer. So think of her as you will. I think she's just like a regular destroyer. Just use her in a 1-1 setup for farming and whatnot, and you're pretty much good to go, right? Now, as for Volga, I think her kit is absolutely amazing. You can tell because 3 of her skills have multiple lines on them and they have multiple descriptions. So this ship right here, very good. Can be good in campaign, good in Operation Sirens. I wouldn't consider her good in bossing because that's restricted to like very minuscule amount of ships available in the game as of right now. But when it comes to like general content like this event farming, Operation Siren, stuff like that, very, very good ship. Heal, damage, self buff, great utility across the board. I like this ship a lot. A lot of procs, a lot of stuff going on with her kit. A very good ship. Now as for Ark and Sue, I'm not going to talk much about them. Again, they're elites. Think of it for what think of them, whatever you want to think of them as, and so forth, right? So the big takeaway from these ships are gonna be, you want to get Kronshtadt. Kronshtadt, again, you are a ship, you want to have her, right? Not to mention her utility is pretty good when it comes to this cross supporting whatnot. A good spread for battleship setups and a slow. Now the slow right here works really well with carriers as well too, because every time your airstrikes to be at around 20 seconds, boom, you got that slow in, your airstrikes are probably gonna hit, right? Very good there. Volga. Volga is probably the other must-have in this banner. A very powerful kit, great carrier across the board, very solid option. I like this ship a lot. Now, as for ships that are like nice to have but not mandatory, I guess in this case, Kiev, if you guys want to have her, SSRDD can't go wrong with that. Stat-wise, pretty solid for a destroyer. Just want to grab her for like whatever reason, or like because she's like a white hair catching or whatnot. Solid, right? Destroyer there. And Ark also, even though she's an elite, she gives 1 permanent firepower at 120, guys. For the min-maxers out there, you don't want to miss her because that's an additional firepower added to your stats for all battleships. And as for Sue, if you like her, if you like the little laugh girl, you can go ahead and grab her as well too. As always though, you should pull for every ship available because this is a collection game at the end of the day. But that's pretty much my list for you guys. Good luck to everyone playing on the banner. Enjoy the video, guys. I'll see you on the next one.